Billy, here in Austin, Texas, one of the rare times we get a call from our hometown. How you doing, Billy?
Hey, not bad. How's it going?
Pretty good. I will let Tracy decide when we will hang up.
Well, hopefully she doesn't stab you in the neck with her glasses.
Yeah.
I'm betting that she's not going to, but she's a feisty one.
Who can tell?
I was having an argument with somebody, and I brought up the fact that like 95% of people, in some form or another, agree with that there's a design in nature, whatever. The appearance of design, like 95% of people since Socrates, like they all pretty much, they acknowledge the appearance of design, and they told me, well, that's an argument from ad populum, and that was it. They just dropped the argument. And
you just don't. Did you look up the fallacy? Argumentum ad populum?
Yeah, I did. But the thing is like I wasn't saying that because 95% of people acknowledge that's what makes the conclusion true.
Okay, then why bring up how many people believe it? If it's true because of evidence, then the percentage of people who believe it doesn't matter, does it?
I would consider it to be kind of not important. I don't know if important is the right word, but it looks important because 95% of people have acknowledged that conclusion. Not that it took 95% of people to make that conclusion happen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
you are.
You're getting very close to the fallacy.
But you didn't answer the question, which is, if something is true, why even bring up how many people are convinced that it's true?
Well, I think that it's a good point now that 95% of people have acknowledged that attribute over time. I think that it's I can't think of the right word, but I think that it's valuable now.
Why?
To see.
Why?
You're basically skirting saying that in your opinion, this is evidence.
It's the wisdom of the like I was looking up. I was doing some more exploring, and I looked up wisdom of the crowd, and do you ever see this show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yes.
Like whenever one of the contestants was having a hard time, they would have like a shout out or like
poll the audience.
Yeah, they would poll the audience. Throughout. Do you think
that polling the audience is a good way to figure out whether or not something's likely to be true?
Well, yeah.
That's the fallacy.
No, it's not. The audience was never wrong.
Okay. So first of all,
you know what the wisdom of the crowd is? Have you ever heard of it?
I'm well aware of the wisdom of the crowd, and especially one of the better examples of it is if you set up a jar full of gum jars and ask people to estimate.
Yeah, I've heard.
You can take the average of all their guesses, and it gets shockingly close with good regularity. That tells us how good we are at intuitive thinking as a group, as a broad group. Now, I can't buy your idea that the crowd's never been wrong on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That may be the case, it may not. Because whether or not something is true is independent of how many people are convinced of it. For example, do you think the Earth is flat?
Well, no, I don't.
Okay. Do you think that the Earth is the center of the universe?
Nope.
Yet the overwhelming majority of people who have ever lived believe those things, or some version of those things. How do we know that?
How do you know that? Yeah, how do we know that?
That was the prevailing model that... Galileo went to prison for daring to object to the church's position that the Earth was the center of the universe by saying that it wasn't. I got what?
That came out of an old book, though. Like, how do you know? How do we know that happened? Isn't that from an old book, though?
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Why?
Well, no, I don't. I believe in the existence of a higher power.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, neither do I.
So you believe in something. You believe in something, and you don't know what it means, and yet you're complaining that I'm providing you information from historical references.
No, I never said I believed in. I never said I believed in anything. Like
You just said you believe in a higher power.
I infer the existence of a higher power That's it. Like,
Okay.
I don't want.
But you don't know what that
But
means.
you don't know what that means. How can you believe in something when you don't know what it means?
I just called it that. I don't know what it is or know
What is it? So you don't know what it is you believe?
Wait, I don't believe anything. I collect inferences.
You don't believe anything.
You just said that you believe in the existence of a higher power.
Do you believe you're talking to somebody over a telephone?
Dude, you don't believe in God either. So I mean,
I do. You're
Right,
correct.
but I'm not sitting here saying that I believe in things and then saying I don't know what my beliefs mean.
Wait, what? When did I say I don't know what my beliefs mean?
When I asked you, when we were asking you about the higher power, you said you don't know what it means, the existence of the higher power.
That's true. I don't know what the higher
How
power
can,
is.
then it's not a belief. I mean, if you don't know what it is, what you're basically saying is I believe something and I don't know what it is.
Exactly. Like I'm not supposed to know.
How can you hold it as true if you don't even know what it is you hold as true?
Did you just say you're not supposed? Did you just say you're not supposed?
hold it as true.
Billy, did you just say you're not supposed to know?
I mean, how can you? Like, if
No.
you can't-
Will you answer the fucking question? Did you just say I'm not supposed to know?
I don't know. Dude, it's freaking me out.
You don't even know what you just said?
Because you're freaking out, dude. So, like the fact is,
I'm trying to ask a question, and you are jabbering at me. And every time and you're talking while I'm talking, and then when we ask you, wait, did you just say this? Your answer is, I don't. Do you know anything? Are you aware of anything?
Nothing to do with the reason that I freaking called this show right now, though, dude.
What?
That has nothing to do with. That has nothing to do with why I called the show. You're diverting my argument like into a whole other.
Okay, Billy. Let's start over. Why did you call the show?
To talk about the
argument man popular.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we explained it to you. You can go out and Google and read more about it. We've already discussed it. We've already exposed that you were, in fact, relying on the fallacy. Even when you tried to avoid it, you worked your way right down into it again.
No, I wasn't relying on the fallacy.
Let me ask you this, Billy. Billy, you just said you weren't relying on the fallacy. How do you know that?
Okay, check this out. If everybody, like, if 95% of the people in the world, thought that the world was flat or whatever, or I'm sorry, if 95% of the people in the world acknowledged an appearance of design in nature, okay, if 95% of people acknowledge that's not me saying that because those 95% of the people acknowledge that makes the appearance of design true. That's not what I said.
It doesn't even make it more likely. It doesn't mean anything to it.
It gives it value that 95% of the people over time have come to acknowledge that.
You're saying acknowledge.
Yeah. In some form or another, 95% of people acknowledge the appearance of design, like whether, or design.
95% of our audience think we're wasting time allowing you to continue. Give me a reason to continue. Apart from Tracy.
Well, I've got one thing. Have you ever heard the little story about the puddle that comes to life?
Yes.
Okay.
Story.
Wouldn't you say that most people would say that it does appear that the water was designed to fit the hole?
No, that.
Doesn't it appear that way?
That analogy is confusing and
No, it's very straightforward. The water goes into the hole, and then people look at it later and they say, "Isn't it amazing how the water perfectly fits the hole?"
How does that make any freaking sense, dude?
It makes perfect sense. The water, you can look at it and see the water perfectly fits the hole.
Yeah, but design is design is recognized through precision.
Precision for what? Where's the roadmap for the world?
That hole is precision fit to that water.
It is. I mean, the puddle fills it perfectly. But the issue,
that analogy has always been retarded to me.
But you're not understanding here
Yes, I am. I mean, I understand.
I was going to drop you just for using retarded, but if Tracy wants to continue.
That's on the no list. But the...
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. But the idea here that I'm trying to point out is that something can appear to be perfectly aligned to something else, and it just doesn't work the way you thought it did, right? So we know why the water appears to fit in the hole perfectly, and we know that it isn't that the water was designed to fit the hole perfectly, but what I'm saying is somebody coming along later who doesn't know what we already know about water and holes is going to look at that and say, it's amazing how it fits completely precisely in that hole. But when you say that there's some kind of design to the universe, then what you're incumbent on, since you're saying that, but there's no precision here, right? There's no idea of a pre-plan for the hole, so that we know that the water comes in after the fact and just does what it does, and it just looks like it fits the hole perfectly. I mean, it does fit the hole perfectly, but it wasn't planned. It just gives the appearance of something like that. And so when you're saying that the universe is adapted to a pre-design, I guess my question is, where is your evidence of the pre-design?
I never said anything about pre-design.
Okay, so then what makes you think that whatever's going on here isn't happening like the puddle?
Because of precision, because of the fine scale structure of reality. It's too precise.
Water, as Matt pointed out, the water fits the hole precisely, every crack, every crevice.
So there's two issues here. Number one is whether or not you were using the argumentum ad populum fallacy, and you were, whether you think so or not. But the second issue is this. Let's assume that everybody throughout history has been convinced that there's an appearance of design. Does that mean there was design?
I mean, if you look at
does that mean there was design? Does the appearance of design mean there was design?
If something appears or something is designed, then that would explain why it appears to be designed. So
does the appearance of design mean that there was design?
It infers that, yes.
Okay, first of all, no, that's not the proper use of the word infer. You infer something. You could say that it implies that. You could draw an inference from it. But does the fact...
That's what I said. I said it infers that. It's an inference. That's where the inference comes from. And that's not my postulation. That's 2,400 years ago, Socrates came up and postulated intelligent design.
So now we've moved from argumentum ad populum to argument from authority and argument from history. Any other fallacies you want to chuck in before we're done?
But listen, it took one person, Socrates. He noticed the appearance of design. He postulated the concept of intelligent design, and then who knows, told all of his friends, and since then, going from then on,
have you ever heard
95% of people from that point, or now today, 95% of people in some form or another acknowledge intelligent design.
What does that have to do with what does that have to do with whether or not intelligent design actually occurred?
I mean, I can't tell you if it actually occurred. I can tell you, I can give you inferences that it did occur.
No.
And when the first time we talked, I brought up
here to defend this anymore.
The Higgs.
Oh, I love that the last word was Higgs. If there's one caller who I'm confident beyond all measure has no understanding of the Higgs.
I kind of forgot that you were waiting on me.
Yeah.
So I apologize to everyone.
If there's ever been a caller who I'm confident was about to talk about the Higgs without an understanding, it's the guy who doesn't thinks the Puddle analogy is confusing, and that 95%, pointing out that 95% of all people have accepted the appearance of design isn't an argument ad populum.
Well, it's not even evidence.
Yeah.
I mean...
But hey, how do I know that?
One of the things I was thinking, though, as he was talking was, and I can't remember the name of the group. I think it starts with a P, but it was like a missionary had gone, and he ended up getting deconverted. Yeah, and one of the things that I remembered was in his memoirs was the conversation where he's trying to talk to them about God, and he says something about asking them who made the stars, trying to make a segue into let's talk about, who made the stars. And they say to him, we say the stars were not made. And that's the thing. If it gives the appearance of design, why don't they see it? Here's these people sitting out in the middle of nowhere. Now, they don't even have an explanation for the universe, right? They don't even have like a cosmology that explains it. So you would think that they would just be like, I'm in such awe of the stars. But they're just like, yeah, we don't really have an idea about those things up there, like whatever they are.
I'll be working on a new video that touches on this. I've already done one on the argument from design where I used a card trick to kind of show an example. I'm going to use a couple different versions of the card trick specifically to deal with issues like this. That if I deal out, for example, I shuffle up, deal out 13 spades, it's about Bayesian analysis. On the hypothesis that I'm a card cheat, that would do a really good job of explaining how you got 13 spades after I apparently shuffled and dealt. But now let's say I shuffle them up for real, and I end up with 13 cards, 5 of clubs, 2 of hearts, 7 of spades, king of diamonds, etc.
Right.
How do you know if I cheated or not? That hand has no apparent significance to you. It doesn't have the impact on us that 13 spades
But if I
did.
tried to lay that hand out by me shuffling it, trying to match that hand, I would be sitting here for a long time.
The point is, you could look at that and say, okay, now this hand is more likely if Matt didn't cheat. And yet I will be demonstrating that I did in fact cheat to get that exact result. And this is one of the problems of doing a Bayesian analysis type thing when it comes to whether or not a God exists. It's the problem of thinking that the appearance of design, even if everybody agreed, wow, that really looks designed, is a separate question from, hey, that is designed, or, is this designed or not, is separate from whether it looks designed. In the past, I've talked about beaver dams and creeks that washed up and formed things that looks like beaver dams.
I just blew my own mind.
Oh, gosh.
If there's a puddle and everything's designed, that means the puddle was designed. So the idea that it's stupid to suggest that we should use a puddle for design seems very funny in light of the fact that someone's telling me that everything is designed.
Well, this is the problem. Dennis LeVay pointed this out to me years and years ago on nonprofits. And it goes to the Paley's watchmaker analysis, that if you're walking along a beach and you find a watch and you pick it up, obviously you recognize design. But Dennis pointed out that if you're a theist and God created everything, then you're walking through a universe of watches on this beach of watches.
And I know that, but I guess what I'm thinking is when I said, have you ever heard about the puddle thing, where the puddle looks like it was designed? He should have said, because it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because it is.
That puddle was designed to fit
That's
into
why
the
it
hole
looks
instead of the
like
hole
that,
being designed.
because it wasn't meant to be in that hole.